Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as we face decision time over what Manchester United want to do with this season. Effectively, I think that's where we are. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is apparently due back into Manchester. They're talking tomorrow, maybe today, and I think once that happens, and once he is, taking training, then he is going to be in charge for that Watford game. And as unbelievable as that sounds, I still hope it won't happen. I still think there's reason to think it might not. But I'll be honest, the clock is ticking. I remember saying it's only Tuesday. We've really, got till Friday. Well, it's Friday now. And I think that I actually expected Ollie to be back by now, to be honest. I expected the players to be back now. I mean, it's a week, tomorrow lunchtime, that we played Manchester City. Like, Ronaldo played last night. Harry Maguire's playing tonight. I don't get why a football club that has scored one goal in its last 4 Premier League games at home, has taken 4 points from 18, thinks a week off is a good idea. I think a couple of days to recharge your battery, but I don't know whether about you, if you've ever been in a job over Christmas and you get a couple of weeks off. By week 2, yeah, it's great, but you're getting bloody lazy and lethargic. And so I don't know what's going on with the club. I mean, hopefully there's some big master plan, but what I do know is decision time is upon us, and yeah, I understand why people think Solskjaer will be in charge for the Watford game. Personally, I think it's not really about Ollie. Of course, it's about Ollie. It's about sacking him. But I think that it's decision time for the football club because they need to decide whether they want to salvage something from this season or run the risk of, destroying the season. And I think this week and the next few days will be pivotal and will be looked back on. Not only in the history of this season, but maybe for the next few seasons, because I think I can't really remember a point that's so clear that a manager should have been sacked. And if they don't sack him and more bad results happen and we do miss out on top 4, then we'll look back on this now. Or alternatively, if they don't sack him and it continues to be toxic and things go wrong and players leave, we'll look back on now. For me, it's about re-establishing the football club and giving it a chance. It's about giving players that deserve a chance before they leave, and it's about getting a good feeling back around the club, and the club seem to just be refusing to do that. And I think the reason they're not doing it is 2 reasons. One of them is that they're about money. They don't want to spend money, of course, we always know that. And the second thing is they sacked Moyes when top 4 was gone. They sacked Van Gaal when he didn't get top 4, and they sacked Mourinho when they didn't think he could get top 4. And I think this club, amazingly, Manchester United, one of the... I don't know why it's doing that, but we've reconnected there. Let me just wait for a moment. Yeah, I saw it go down there. I don't know why that happened there. Sorry about that. Let me know when we're back, and I'll carry on. Have a sip of water. Yeah, we are back. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Sometimes it drops out. We are live, as you know. So, so I think that ultimately, we are run by a select few people who just don't understand football, certainly aren't in touch with the fans, and who seem to have this weird... I mean, the thing for me is that you hear that, we don't want to sack another manager. Well, everyone sacks a manager when they're not good. It's not a bad thing to sack a manager in the world of football. It's a sad thing, but it's not a bad thing. People get sacked for underperforming. That's what happens. So I don't know why United are so hung up on not sacking a manager. Oh, he's such a nice guy. He's not a very good manager. Sack him. His coaches are rubbish. Sack him. But the thing that I would look at if I was Man United is not the sacking of managers. I would look at the way that you sack managers, why top 4 always has to be gone before you do it. I think that's your big problem. You're too late in how you react. Like, waiting for top 4 to be gone is just ridiculous. And why do they do that? And I think the reason they do that is because it saves money again. If you don't get top 4, you get less of a payout. That's what normally happens. Fred was good last night, just shows what decent coaching does, says Daniel Kirk. So yeah, I do think that is where we're at the moment. I think time is definitely running out, and I think that, unfortunately, as unpalatable as it is, we're going to have to start getting used to the fact that Solskjaer's going to come back. He's going to be training the players. We're going to we go again, and all this nonsense. And it's highly irritating. Of course, it is. I get that, and I think the way that the club have handled it is shoddy at best, appalling at others, incompetent as a fact, really. And look, we're going to be talking a little bit about some players, Hendo, Lingard and Donny van der Beek in a moment. But what I do want to say as well is, look, I want to put my hand up to this, and I did do a tweet a little bit ago, and people sort of, I sort of answered the tweet straight away, because I said I am absolutely drained with this football club. I've never felt so unmotivated and out of touch with the football club. And I then said, well, I did it myself. You'll get people go fuck off and support Forest then. Well, that's not what support is. The reason it hurts and the reason we feel drained is because we're not going anywhere, because we support the football club. But I've never felt, I can't think of a time in our history, and we've had a lot of things in the last 8 years where I felt so unmotivated and so disillusioned with the with the football club. See you on 2nd of defence September. Smith Rowe hat-trick. We'll finish higher this season, says Zane. Well, you probably will beat us if Ollie's in charge, and he probably will be in charge, Zane, so I probably agree with you with that. Do you agree with the protests that we're supposed to be happening on the weekend, says Kai Churchill? And Mark, do you think the board are analysing the consequences of not sacking him now and bringing someone in the way we are? They're just buying time, says Julian S. Two good questions there. I mean, there's loads I want to get through this morning, actually. I want to talk about the community of the fan base anyway, and how the club neglects it. But in relation to the protest tomorrow, I've not really heard anything about it. If you are going to the protest tomorrow, I don't know anything about it. It's nothing to do with me. A lot of people agree with it. Some people don't agree with it. What I would say is it's your own individualist choice. Don't be guided by people on social media telling you you're not a proper fan if you go, or you're not a proper fan if you don't go. If you think it's right to go, go. I'm sure there will be people there. If you don't think it's right to go, don't go. But don't try and divide the fan base onto I'm a better fan than you because I'm not going. I mean, at the end of the day, the Glazers are a shame on this football club, and anybody who is saying that a fan who wants to go and protest against them is wrong, well, I don't know about that. Look, at the end of the day, I think it's 3 o'clock tomorrow at Old Trafford. I don't know whether that's happening or not. It's got nothing to do with me. But the United stand is certainly not going to be that outlet that says you're not a proper fan. You're not a proper fan. So people can do what they want to do in relation to that. But I think that the board have, going back to that question about do you agree with the protest? We've done that, okay. But in relation to what the board have done this week, and welcome to Sihil, latest member of the club. I think what the board have done this week is they've rode this out. They've rode this out. The plan of this football club this week was to ride this out, and they've done that. I'm appalled. I've got to be honest. I'm absolutely appalled that a football club would do this. But knowing the inner workings of that football club and speaking to people who work in that football club, because the thing about that football club is they run it like a dictatorship, but what they don't realise is there's loads of people in that club who actually care about Manchester United, and you'll never find who the sources are. So, you can try, because I will never disclose who they are, and other people who have them won't disclose who they are. But they're not in positions of power, but they work within that football club in various parts of that football club, and you can't keep track of them, and they will keep leaking information out because they care about the club. And the reality is, at that football club, the people in the positions in power, whether it's whether it's the board or it's head of certain departments, over 90% of them are not United fans, and over 90% of them, it's a job. And at 5 o'clock or whenever they leave the office, that's it. They're off to do whatever they do. They don't live, breathe and love Manchester United, and they certainly don't fight for Manchester United against the board. They are pen pushers, they are good at their jobs, but they are not emotionally attached. They've been employed into those positions because of their CV, not because they're United people. And this is the problem that we have. They look at a problem and they analyse it like a bank. And I've worked in banks, I've worked in government organisations, and this is how United work. They have a board meeting and they analyse metrics and algorithms, and they go, right, what's the best way to approach this? And basically the way I'm looking at it is that we've had the loss last week, which is a week ago tomorrow, we got beaten by Manchester City. It's a week. It's been a long 7 days, but it is a week. What have they done in that week as a football club? They stayed quiet for 2 days. They started leaking little bits at the start of the week, and then they've gone quiet again. None of the key blue tick journalists have had anything, whether it's Simon Stone, whether it's The Athletic, whether it's Andy Mitten, whether it's Fabrizio Romano. Nobody's really had anything other than, at the moment, Ollie is the manager. It looks like he'll be the manager against Watford, but the situation could change. And that's all we've had all week. And they've bottled it, really. Unless, and I will say this, unless they've stayed quiet because they're working on something, so therefore they've not sacked Ollie, and obviously we don't know who that replacement's going to be. But the more time goes on, the less that feels like it's going to happen, even though I'm still clinging on to that. But if they aren't doing that, and I'll tell you what, if next week Solskjaer's rolled out at the press conference and it's, we're in it for the long haul, everyone's working, what an appalling way to treat your fan base. to just go quiet after a derby. Just basically cowardly. Everyone get out. Ollie, go to Norway. Carrick, go wherever you're going. McKenna, you go. Players, international duty. If you're not, you're off for the week. And all the board as well. Everyone just go quiet. Just go quiet and let it roll. And it's so... You know what it is? It's like a company. I mean, let's just throw somebody out there. Virgin Media or something like that. Their broadband goes down, right? They're inundated with complaints. And what they do is everyone goes home. That's basically what United have done for the week in an analogy. You know, we are consumers, we are customers in a very massive way. It's not like getting your broadband from Virgin. This is like your life supporting Manchester United to a lot of people. We've been humiliated. We are being humiliated. We're being embarrassed and bantered by rivals all the time, 24/7. We're having our own arguments and conversations with ourselves about, you know, never feeling so deflated. And the football club, which is there to serve us effectively, has legged it. It's turned the phones off, just ride this out. And to be honest with you, I mean, as appalling as it is, it probably will work. Mark, I think this season has taught young fans that you can have the best squad in Europe, but if the coaching isn't good, it doesn't mean anything, says Mark. Welcome to the Members Club, Sahil. We've done that. You're a legend, Mark. Keep up the good work, mate, says Ben Brown. And United needs someone who will demand something from the players, not be their best mate like Ollie is, says Colin O'Connor. But you know what? I mean, we've got nearly 10,000 people watching the morning show. On Monday, Tuesday, we had touching 20,000. So the club are right. They're not, you know, the thing is, the reason I've said you've got to keep this at the front of your mind, whatever it is you feel, is because I know, as well as they do, that the longer they move away from the derby with doing nothing, the less interest there will be. And you can see it. You know, instead of nearly 20,000 people watching, we've got 10,000 people watching, which is still great for the channel. I'm not bothered about that. But what I'm saying is it's a very clear metric that people are losing interest. But are they losing interest or are they losing interest? I don't think they're losing interest because they're like, I'll give Ollie another chance. I think people are losing interest because they're like, screw this, I'm not interested. And that is so dangerous for the football club because they're a contradiction. Like, leadership is leadership. I said 2 days ago, if I was on the Manchester United board or I was head of communications, I would have been speaking to the board saying we need to put something out. We need to put something out because we look weak. Well, we don't want to back Ollie because we'll get a load of abuse. Yeah, you will get a load of abuse, but you're getting a load of abuse anyway for being incompetent. What we don't want is the word incompetent attached to Manchester United. You know, so let's come out and say that we're backing Ollie. Well, they'll definitely say we're incompetent. Well, they might do, but the reality is at least you've made a decision. We're basically saying that without saying it, which makes us look even weaker. So the way that they've handled it is just appalling, really bad. But I also want to say that, you know, and I will say this first, I want to talk about the community of the fan base and the way that we've been treated, but because everyone's arguing with each other and that's what always happens, of course. But, you know, instead of arguing with each other, you might want to have a look at the way that the football clubs managed. Jake, thank you very much for the super chat. And Mark, do you feel that the younger generation will be supporting the likes of City, Chelsea, Liverpool in 20 years? Yes. I mean, I wasn't going to mention that, Connor, but I know how the world works now. Society is very flip-flop. It is. You know, people don't like that term, but it is. You can twist and turn, and people twist and turn all the time. It's just the way of the world. You know, that's what social media does. That's what technology does. Your opinions change a lot quicker than they would have done 20 years ago when mobile phones were just coming along. There wasn't really, you know, you certainly didn't have like social media and everything like that. So people change their opinions a lot quicker. I think Manchester United, if this continues under this ownership, in the next 10 to 20 years, Man United are going to be in a horrible situation because you will get people of our age and younger who will still support the club, but there's a whole other generation coming through. They will turn their back on Manchester United. They will. You know, I won't, and some of you won't, but the next generation will, because football is so accessible and, you know, at the end of the day, it's an entertainment sport. And look, it's a hard jump to say that United fans are going to go and start supporting Liverpool, but fans will start supporting Liverpool instead of Manchester United. That's what I'm talking about, the next generation. The next generation of fans who've got no loyalty. Even your kids who are United, you might be a United fan, and look, I've got kids and they are United fans, but, you know, you have to work at that. It's like, well, that's what you do, but, you know, other kids might not do that. And, you know, can you blame them when what they're being offered is a dictatorship and poor football? I mean, we support Manchester United because we're loyal and it's the club that we support. But if you're looking for a club to support, you would never support Manchester United at the moment. The only reason you would do it is for players like Ronaldo or Pogba or someone like that. You wouldn't support us because we play good football or we win things or we've got a great message to send, or we display strong leadership from top to bottom. We're an embarrassment. So it is a massive problem. But of course, the Glazers are only in the club to squeeze every pound they can and then they'll sell it. And I've always said this, when the Glazers sell United, they could end up selling it. They'll always make a profit because the value that they bought it for, they'll always make a profit. So even if the club was in a really bad position, they'd still make a profit. So how are they going to hide when either Chelsea or sadly Arsenal beat us? Ollie must go, they can see it or don't care, says Andy and Bruno. I think if they stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Andy and Bruno, what they're planning on doing is just waiting until top four's not possible because it might save them. But the thing is, you've only got to, I say you're only paying Ollie 7 million anyway. So if he's out of the top four spot, the incompetence is hard to figure out. It really is. And my only hope is, and look, I will be honest with you, I'll offer you some olive branches. Of course I will. There has been, even last night, I'm getting messages from people. I've had it all week. I've had it from last Sunday. There's certain people that if they're proven right, I will go back and say, well, they told me this at this point. I've got the screenshots and everything, but I won't throw that into the public demeanour because it might be a source that's not right. And there is stuff out there about United are desperately trying to get somebody confirmed. There's talk about the summer. There's talk about, now. It's just a mess. It's an absolute mess. And I still retain hope that this week to me is weird. But just because it's weird doesn't... If this was Chelsea, I would think that they're getting a new manager. If this was Man City or Liverpool, I would think they're getting a new manager. Because it's Manchester United, it could just be pure incompetence. But tell me this, we lose on Saturday and that team's not had a training session since. Ollie went straight on holiday. The players have been on holiday. Some of them have gone on international duty. But these players who got humiliated by Manchester City have not been together since. That, to me... Well, they've done it on Zoom. It reeks of incompetence and lack of leadership. So to me, I would think, well, why would you do that? And the only thing I thought all week was they've sent them away to give them time, to give the board time to get a replacement in, so that when they bring Ollie back, they sack him and then they get the new person in. But look, am I clutching at straws? Also, the lack of stuff in the media. The blue tickers are not coming out and going, Ollie's definitely the manager for Watford. It looks like he is, but he's not definitely the manager. So it's a hard situation to read. But I think most people are just going, well, it's Ed Woodward and the Glazers. They're so incompetent. They're probably just hiding. That's probably the plan, hide and seek. Got a photo and autograph from Bruno yesterday, Mark, in a hotel in Dublin. Also met Ronaldo, but security wouldn't let us a photo. One of the best days of my life. I'm glad that you had a good day, James Bork. Because ultimately, I do want to say that as well. Mark, I said this on last night's show. In what world do we expect the players to start playing again? The down tools at least a month ago. It's over, says Nick P. Look, we might get a bounce against Watford, but they're not going to beat. I don't think they'll beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. But look, all right then, let's play devil's advocate. We beat Watford and we beat Chelsea, and everyone says Ollie's back at the wheel. We're not back at the wheel because we'll still be miles off the top, and we'll just be in a race for top four, and we will lose again. This season is what it is. It's going to be. There will be some ups, but there'll be some major downs. Look, he's got to go to the Etihad. He's got to go to Anfield. He's going to lose both those games. That's another 6 points drops. That's another 2 losses. How many games have we lost already? We could hit 10 defeats this season. I daren't even look how many losses we've had. So we lost to Villa. We lost to Leicester. We've lost to Liverpool and we've lost to City. So we've lost 4 games in the league. Feels like we've lost a lot more because we should have lost to Everton. So we've lost 4 games. We could lose 10 games this season. Easily. What would you think of Roberto Mancini? I would take him, Michael O'Hara. I would, yeah. I don't care if he's an ex-Man City manager. But look, I just want to say as well, and look, people can take this however they want. I'm drained. I'm absolutely drained. I'm fed up. I'm probably the same as I felt after Liverpool, but I'm used to how I felt after Liverpool. After Liverpool, I wasn't sleeping at night. I was so depressed. And this is nothing to do with chatting to you or, falling out with family or anything like that. As a football fan, I stormed off yesterday, Cliff. Yes, I did. As a football fan, I don't think I've ever been this low in relation to, the way the team is being run. And I'm sure a lot of you feel the same. And look, I can't be bothered with the arguments online. There was somebody today I was going to argue with, and I thought, I'm not doing it. They were basically saying that people having a go, De Bruyne are having a go at United, not having any tactics, but Ollie's beat Pep loads of times. I was like, oh my God, this is the sort of argument. Why are you even talking about that? Ollie's beaten Pep in the past, parking the bus. Wow. We just got live in the moment. He's not good enough. And it's embarrassing that Man City didn't even prepare against us tactically because they didn't know how we would play. So you know, I do feel actually emotionally drained, and somebody tried to ridicule me about this a couple of weeks ago when I said that it impacts on my mental health. I feel totally disillusioned. I feel so totally deflated. We're rudderless, and all you want as a football fan is to have a spark. You can't start a fire without a spark, and we need a spark. We need a spark of enthusiasm. When the season starts, every club, whether you're Norwich, Arsenal or Manchester United, you've got something that, you know, it's not impossible, it's going to be hard, but you're aiming for that. So our aim at the start of the season that was going to be hard was to be in a title race. To be in a title race in April. That was the aim. It was going to be hard, but we felt it was achievable. Arsenal's aim at the start of the season was to get 4th place. It's going to be hard, but it's achievable. Norwich's aim this season is to stay up. It's going to be hard, but it's achievable. Every fan of every club at the start of the season has something to motivate them and spark them. We're in November, and Manchester United, I have no spark. I don't know what and the trouble is the club aren't even telling us what the motivation is now. Effectively, I think it's a race for 4th place. But that was not achieved. That was not acceptable under Van Gaal. It was not acceptable under Moyes, and it was not acceptable under Mourinho. But now it's suddenly acceptable under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when he's got the best player in the world playing for him, arguably. So the spark is gone, and people will say, and look, Manchester United as a football club are absolutely bloody brilliant at showing us a goal against Leeds last season, or you know, they've done this bit of charity work, or this positive, or look at this camera angle of Ronaldo scoring 3 weeks ago. Oh, look at me on my phone on the side of the pitch. Social media manager, look at me, I've got a picture of Ronaldo scoring, celebrating the goal. They love putting all that out. They absolutely love putting all that out, but they've got no interest in anything to do with dealing anything that's negative. And life is positive and negative. You live and you die. You know, blunt, but that's true. Dying's a negative, living is a positive, you know, in the main. United are only interested in the positives. They've got no interest in catering for the negative. They talk about diversity, they talk about mental health. Well, diversity is your fans outside of this country who get ridiculed. And what are you doing for them? You know, what are you doing for them? You're allowing people within your football club to say the noisy ones aren't always the best ones. Well, the noisy ones are the people who have to express themselves through social media because they can't get to the games in Manchester. So you're actually putting a message out that the foreign fans aren't the proper fans, but they can only express themselves noisily on social media. And this is coming from the manager. The manager actually said that a few weeks ago, or a few months ago. The noisy ones aren't always the best ones. Well, you can only get 75,000 in Old Trafford. There's millions of people buying Ronaldo shirts. How are they supposed to express themselves? They can only do it on social media, but they're not the real ones. But you went into a Super League because you wanted the foreign fans because they're the bigger audience. Contradiction. On top of that, mental health. You talk about mental health. I can talk to you about my mental health. Since I was a kid, I've been obsessed with football. Sabutio in front of Soccer Saturday, FIFA, out in the garden, reliving goals, playing goals, watching matches, listening to it on the radio in the car when you're at a bloody family wedding and stuff. You know, Wednesday night, you know, radio upstairs when you're meant to be in bed for school under the pillows. Absolutely obsessively followed this football club for most of my life. And people are going to tell me that when it's being run like this and we feel deflated like this, well, it's only a game. How can it impact on your mental health? But the club they only want to focus on the positives. Your behaviour over the last week has caused millions of people anguish and frustration. You have. But you won't acknowledge that. You know, you've probably got some sort of mental health charity you're going to work with about how important mental health is, but you've got no interest in the well-being of your fans this week. You've not catered for them at all. It's like we're a community. Manchester United is a community. Football is a community. When I think back to the football in the late 80s, yeah, it was a bit rough and ready, it was, but the relationship between football clubs and fans was completely different now. when I think back to the 80s and, late 80s for me, and look, I was young, so maybe I'm getting this wrong, but late 80s, early 90s, it felt to me like football clubs were more concerned about what fans thought. It felt like fans ruled it more. The fans were in charge, and the clubs were like, we've got to be very careful about how the fans are going to react. Since the Premier League, and obviously since the Glazers have took over United, it feels like, the fans should still be powerful, but the club are like, yeah, whatever, not listening to them. Get such and such in who's not a United fan to run that area. Get such and such to run that one. Yeah, we're not going to listen to. Invite them to a meeting. Give them that there, in relation to that. But yeah, just keep them happy. Keep them at arm's length, and that's basically how they run the football club. They just have got no interest in the fans, really. They play lip service to certain people and let them have a little say, but there's no real say in the football club, and and it's sad because football is about the community. That's what it's always been about, and all this money coming into football is great if you've got owners that want to embrace the fan base and win. But if you've got owners who want to embrace your pocket and ain't bothered about winning all the fans, which is what we've got, it's a horrible thing. And it is mental anguish. And I don't care what anybody says. If you're somebody who just thinks, well, sod it, I'm not interested, I'm off to enjoy my life, that's great. But there's a lot of us out there where football is a huge part of our life. And when it's not going like this, it eats you up inside. It really does. And I've never been so deflated. I've never been so, felt that the club is so unambitious. And the standards have not been this low for many a year. Will you be celebrating when we score like you normally do, or will it be like the Spurs game? P.S. I like your jumpers, as Rory Saunders. And Arjun says, looking at the results, and if they stay like this, we could be without European football altogether next season. We'll be without. We will be without Ronaldo if we don't get Champions League football. That's the risk they're running. Lars says, this is draining since it's been like this since Sir Alex. United is like a religion for a lot of fans, but focus is gone. This is going nowhere. And with different owners in charge, Ollie would be gone. Ollie is on borrowed time. Get Zidane in, says Jack Lynch. Look, for me, just going back to that previous question, how will you celebrate goals? Will you celebrate them like Spurs or not? I don't know, because Watford feels so long ago. I felt with Man City it was a Manchester derby and I wanted to win it. I think Watford away is a game that United should win, so I won't be as pumped up for that as Man City. The thing I'm going to find hard next week, really hard, and I actually sympathise with Solskjaer, is that we will do the press conference reaction and we will be watching games with him on the touchline, but I find it very difficult to listen to Ollie now. I think he's lost all credibility. I don't think you can trust anything he says anymore in relation to football and decisions. I think, the reality is, I'd liken what happened to him against Pep to, being walked out into the middle of the stadium, having his trousers pulled down and his arse smacked, and not in a fetish way. I mean, like in a humiliating way, and the whole world watched it. And of course, that's illegal. You can't do that to people, and it should have been illegal. You shouldn't be able to do that at Manchester United, Old Trafford. But I feel that look, the position is untenable, and that means that he shouldn't be in this position. And I think he's being held out to dry. And I think Solskjaer, as a Man United legend, is a legend to me, and I will always love him for what he did as a footballer. And I can easily differentiate the player to what he is as a manager, but I think it's cruel. And I'm sure Solskjaer will back himself mentally to be able to deal with this situation. And hopefully he can, if he's put into that position. And I'm not talking about football-wise, because I think that's finished. I'm talking about his mental health. I don't think the football club's got much care for any of the fans' mental health or how they're dealing with this. And I'd argue I don't think they've got much care for Solskjaer's, because at least with Mourinho, it was like it got to a point, and Mourinho was very experienced, and he's got a CV where he can say Champions League titles in numerous countries. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can only really look, when he looks inside, he's not got a lot to pull out, a Norwegian title and relegation with Cardiff. So he hasn't got many resources within him to say, I'm a good manager. He's got to convince himself. And then he's got to go out and stand in front of the world when everyone knows he shouldn't even be there. Look, the media know he shouldn't be there. The fans know he shouldn't be there. And the players know he shouldn't be there. He's only there because the club are incompetent. So now you're going to put him on the touchline for Watford, Villarreal, Chelsea. You're going to put him in the press conference. And I think it's got to a point where people are just sympathetic of Ollie. Some people aren't. Some people are very angry. But I think the media will be sympathetic with him. I think ex-players will be sympathetic with him, as they always have been. I think even our players are going to be sympathetic with him because he's a nice guy. And I'm certainly, professionally, I'm sympathetic of him. I think it's like, what can he say in that press conference a week today for Watford? We've got to fight hard. I mean, he's already said it after the Man City game. We're going to come out like a wounded animal. Well, I don't care. But I don't care, mate, because it's Watford and you shouldn't be here. And even if you beat Watford, I'm still very much thinking about what happened to you at Old Trafford against Man City and Liverpool, because that's the level. Watford's not the level. I'm not judging you on Watford. I'm judging you on Man City and Liverpool because that's the standard. That's where you get measured. Man City and Liverpool, mate. That's the level we should be. Wounded Animal FC against Watford. I'm sorry, Watford are a team that's probably going down. So look, I find the fact that he could do a press conference very, very difficult to stomach. And I think what United are creating, and I don't know why they're doing it. I'll still cling on to the fact that they're talking to other managers, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I don't know what the game plan is here. It's for a club that's so focused on brand, exposure and positivity. I don't know what they're doing, because I don't know what they think can happen, how they're going to spin this around. And what they need is Ronaldo to start scoring a hat-trick every week, United to start playing good football every week, United to start climbing up the table. And look, that would be a nice thing to happen. Of course it would. That would be the aim. Will I ever come back and be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in? I can't see it. I really can't. I think it's an impossibility. Because even if he stays, Cavani's gone in the summer, Pogba's gone in. Pogba's going Real Madrid. I'll be stunned if he doesn't go Real Madrid. Pogba's going to go Real Madrid. Look how much our form has dipped since the new VAR rule enforcement. We can no longer manipulate the rule for soft penalties. Only reason we finished second, says Harris. I think you might be stretching a little bit there, mate. I think you might be. On the manager front, and Dougie says, what is Ollie even supposed to say anymore? There is nothing he can say in a press conference. I think that's a great point, There's nothing he can say in a press conference that anyone's gonna believe. And if we beat Watford, people will go, well, it's only Watford. We could beat Watford 5-0 and people will go, it's only Watford. And then if you lose to Chelsea, we're back where we are now. So, I don't know. It's got to be... I don't know whether anyone else... I don't know whether anybody else is in this position, but I think it's the weirdest week I've ever seen. Sky is saying this morning that Manchester United have no plans to replace Solskjaer despite mounting pressure on the Norwegian. That's from Sky. Rob Dorsett on Sky. Look, it's... I've just spent half an hour talking to you about how deflated I am. I don't know what Man United think that's meant to do for people. We've got no plans to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It destroys me inside. It really does. The mental anguish this club is causing me, so it must be causing you as well. And I just want to believe. That's the thing. It's not. I'm beyond Ollie. Ollie can't sack himself. I just want to believe. It's what this bloody club's all about. Busby Babes, Sir Matt Busby, Brian Robson, Sir Alex Ferguson. It's about belief. It's about having something to believe in. We've got nothing to believe in at the moment. And it makes me sick to the core. It makes me absolutely sick to the core that this football club is in the hands of this dictatorship. Absolute dictatorship. It's... And I don't... You know what? I don't understand how people think it's okay. there are some people in our fan base who think it's okay. Oh, it's okay, let's stick with it. But even if you think it's okay, even if you think Ollie should come back from it, which is fine, that's an opinion, of course. Even if you think Ollie can come back for it and we should all get behind Ollie, you're getting behind the decision of an incompetent dictatorship. That's where I struggle. You know, if we had a CEO who I respected and we had owners I respected and they were like, look, trust us, we really believe this is going to work and we believe for this reason, I'd be like, I don't trust them, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because they seem adamant. But the problem is, to back Ollie at the moment, you've got to back an incompetent decision from people that we don't trust. And it's very hard to stomach. I feel like throwing up this morning, actually. I really do. I feel like throwing up. And people say, oh my God, it's only football. No, I'm not having this. It's not only football. Since I was a little boy, I've been obsessed with football and Manchester United. And I still am. And it affects my mood massively. And I'm drained by it. So, you know what, United? Get your mental health charity work out and start telling us what you're going to do for your fan base, because this is a disgrace. The way you've treated fans this week is disgusting with your lack of communication. You've got no interest in your fans apart from what you can get out their pockets. And you're destroying people. You are destroying people's moods on a daily basis with your incompetence. We've been embarrassed. Let's take it back to football. Leicester humiliated us. Liverpool humiliated us, and Man City humiliated us. And you're sat there going, we've got no plans to make any changes. What are we? What are we? We may as well be Stoke, because that's the mentality of this football club. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. The first question at the press conference has to be, after two humiliating defeats, why take a holiday, says CM. Well, we've had a hard run of games and we needed a break. That's what you'll get. I have no compassion towards Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's none against to anyone than his favourites. He lives happily in the Glazers bubble. Happily, I'm suffocating, says Tabriz. United feels like it did in the 70s, down and out. Fans fighting in the terraces, bad owners, breaks my heart, says Tracy Taylor. I think Ralf Rangnick is an interim manager and then move him up to director of football like he did at Leipzig and bring in Ten Hag as manager in the summer, says Clarkey. And it's really upsetting. I struggle with my mental health and have been for years. I was so depressed on Wednesday because of the state of this club, says Dane Moore. Well, stay strong, Dane. Stay strong. At the end of the day, hopefully there will be some better times ahead, but this is why Manchester United should not be in the hands of Prats, and it's in the hands of Prats. These people who bought our football club have got no interest in football, none at all, and the person who helped them buy it is now our CEO. Ed Woodward was working with the Glazers to buy this football club from a banking institution and ended up CEO of the biggest football club in the world. And now we are run like this. Everybody saw it coming. And now look at it. And you know what? I've never really agreed with, Solskjaer should stand up to the Glazers and all that lot. But ultimately, if he's a real fan of the football club, then maybe there should have been some more vocality over the years. But it's just really, really hard to stomach. Brendan Rodgers left Celtic on the cusp of a treble mid-season to Stuart Beck. Look, Brendan Rodgers would come to Manchester United. Categorically, yes. I think Brendan Rodgers would come to United if United was serious about getting him. But clearly at the moment, they're not serious about doing it. And the only reason I think that they are not is because this club follows a manual that was found out to be redundant 8 years ago, which is, let's not sack a manager until top four is impossible. Well, we're heading towards that impossibility. They did the same to us with Super League, no shame, says MUFC. And Manny says that Brendan Rodgers is overrated. Mate, you know what? It's like saying beans on toast are overrated when you're starving hungry and on your plate is a big turd. And then you go, I don't want the beans on toast. That's the situation we're in at the moment. If you're hungry, are you going to eat the beans on toast or are you going to eat the turd? I'm going to eat the beans on toast, because what we're being fed up at the moment is turd football. And, there's lots and lots and lots and lots of managers I would take over Solskjaer at this point. But I wish we could change the owners. And, P says protests are needed more than ever. Yeah, but for some reason, no, there isn't unity in the fan base, is there? So, I don't think we're going to get that, to be honest with you. But if people want to do it, it is happening. I don't know whether it is happening tomorrow. I don't know whether it's happening tomorrow. But if it is happening tomorrow, I know it was meant to be happening at 3 o'clock. I just cannot understand why the club refused to sack Ollie Markey, because he's a mate. It's mates rates, and they want him to do well. And yeah. I would love Brendan Rodgers as Manchester United manager. Yeah, absolutely, categorically, 100%. Yeah, great football mind. Has won trophies in a very difficult situation. Develops youth and is fantastic at recruitment as well. Absolutely would take him any day of the week. I would prefer Zidane, who is also available but probably doesn't want to come to us. But that's the scary thing with United. Like, after the Liverpool game, he should have been sacked. You've got Conte and Zidane out of work, free, and they're still putting out nonsense that they can't get a manager. That their incompetence has no levels. Like, it's literally just keep going down. People say ceiling to success. There's no ceiling to success. There's no basement to failure for Manchester United. That should be a quote in itself. In success, there is no ceiling. At Manchester United, there is no basement, because the standards just keep dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. And to be honest with you, they can put out news that they're not gonna sack Solskjaer, but I take this away from Ollie. Whenever I read the club have got no plans to sack Solskjaer, I don't read they've got no plans to sack Solskjaer. I read the club have got no plans to improve. They've got no plans to be a football club. They basically just want to make money. It doesn't matter what happens on the football pitch. That's basically, if that's true from Sky, Manchester United have got no intention to sack Solskjaer. If you actually read what that actually means is, it's Manchester United are making money and they don't care what happens on the pitch. Because Aston Villa, Norwich, Spurs, loads of clubs in this situation would sack the manager because they're interested in what's happening on the pitch. The reason Solskjaer's not been sacked is because United don't care what happens on the pitch. They're making a lot of money off the pitch, and that's what matters. They've got no interest in what happens on the pitch. That's the bottom line. If they don't sack Solskjaer, like they haven't, they don't care. And people will say, well, if we lose to Chelsea, he'll get the sack. I don't agree with that. Maybe it would happen, but there is the hard thing people are struggling with, and this is where I really, I need to take a break, is that there is no result in football where you... Look, if Man City lose to... if Man City was 6th and they lost to at the Etihad, Pep would be in trouble. Same with Klopp. Arsenal, if they were down to 10th and they just lost 4-0 to Spurs at home, you're probably going to get the sack. You can almost go through every club in world football and go, this situation would lead to the sack. At United, we don't know what situation leads to the sack anymore. I said this after Liverpool. This club and owners have taken this football club into the desert without water, because there is no result we can look at and go, that will get you the sack now. He's got less points than Mourinho had when he was sacked, in the season he was sacked. He's been humiliated by Liverpool and Man City at home, and he's still in a job. And people are going, if he loses to Watford, he will lose his job. He won't lose his job if he loses to Watford, because we're playing 2 days later. Oh, if he loses to Chelsea, he'll lose his job. Why? That's away from home, Stamford Bridge. You expect to lose there. If you're not losing your job after Man City and Liverpool at home, there is no result you can look at now and go, well, he's definitely getting the sack now. I think the only way he definitely gets the sack is if top four's gone, but that might not be gone until April, in which case the season's a write-off. Oscar says, I suffer with depression, and since the loss to Liverpool, I've been on an all-time low. I'm glued to Twitter just hoping to get some news, says Oscar. Well, they don't care about you, Oscar. They've got no interest in you or me or anyone else, because they won't like this sort of thing being called out, but they should be called out on it. I'd rather see people, instead of putting Ollie out on tweets to the official account, which I don't think achieves anything, I'd write them a couple of sentences about how they're making you feel, because they haven't got a duty of care. Of course they haven't, but they need to know how they're making people feel. how their leadership is making people feel. But look, what I would say is, on a serious note, if you are suffering with any mental health or suffering with depression or anything like that in any part of your life, the most important thing is to communicate it. There's I'm sure you've got friends and family you can talk to. It's about letting people know how you feel. I'm talking a bigger picture than football here. And if it's really bad, there are phone calls, Samaritans and people like that you can speak to, because on a serious level, somebody's tea can be cold and it can send them into severe depression. Someone's football club can be run like ours is, and it can make them feel down. Or you can have a major impact like a bereavement or a loss of a job that can send you down. You never know what the trigger points are with people. Like I say, I've seen people suffering. People just clinically suffer with depression. There's no reason for it. So, yeah, if you do feel down or anything, it's good to talk, and it's okay not to be okay. And remember those messages as a bigger thing. I feel like if we get Brendan Rodgers, we get top 4 comfortably, says Carl. Oh, yeah, 100%. And if United sack Ollie now and replace him with another manager, that does well with the likes of Van Dijk, Telles, Ronaldo. Sorry, VVD. I don't know who VVD. Telles, Ronaldo stay. Van der Beek, you mean, don't you? You know what, Nilius? I think that the way Brendan Rodgers plays football, Paul Pogba and Van der Beek would be playing a lot more football in the middle as well. Definitely. But look, we could go on and on. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. And we will be back. I think we're 7 o'clock tonight because the England game. I'm doing a watch along on That's Football. So. But yeah, I've never felt so low in a long time about United. I'm absolutely fed up of it, and I hope that some of the stuff I've been hearing is true, that they are looking to make a change, and maybe that could still happen. But to be honest with you, it's looking more and more like they've just buried their head in the sand for a week, ignored their fans, and arrogantly running the club how they think is best. The dangerous thing is Manchester United is a community of millions and millions of people, and you might own the club, but there's millions and millions of people out there with opinions. And it's so dangerous for 3 or 4 people to go, we know better than millions of other people. And in those millions of people, there's people that have been supporting, following and analysing the club deeper than those 4 people on the board ever do. And yet 4 or 5 people on the board are telling millions of people who know better than them about football in the main what to do. It's ridiculous. Thanks for watching.